Al Gore. Al Gore, I don't know that his intelligence quotient reaches into the double digits. Seriously, I've seen a film of him pointing around at one of these old houses down around Virginia or D.C. or wherever he was at, and he said, "Wow, those are some interesting busts there on the wall. Who are they?" And the park ranger said, "Oh, that's Thomas Jefferson, that's George Washington, that's Abraham Lincoln." This is a guy who is dumb as a box of rocks, and yet clever enough to get out there and sell this agenda that it's somehow our fault and we need to do something about it. It's like tonight I saw this Susan G. Komen breast run. We're running, we're getting there, we're running for the cure. Well, when you study placebos, you see the cure is right here. You either have cancer or you don't. You either identify with it or you do not. How do you know this? Well, the medical industry knows this because they have double-blind placebo study tests. And also in the medical journals, doctors have done things out of frustration when they couldn't do something else. As an example, Deepak Chopra tells a few stories about placebos that were personally in his world. And there were some where he had caught wind of it through the journals, I guess. One of them that was most telling was a guy who had tumors the size of oranges all over his body.
Wow.
When the doctor left on Friday, he thought he wasn't going to see him on Monday. So he tried something. Took a needle, he filled it with saline. And he said, "This is a new cancer cure that comes from somewhere else. I'm going to give this to you out of lack of hope in any other direction." He says, "But it should work." And he gave him the shot. Came back on Monday, the guy was pushing people around in wheelchairs, the tumors were going down. He was out of his mind. He absolutely believed it. There's another one now. He cured himself of cancer because he gave cancer to himself because he believed in it. Look up cancer in Louise Hay's book, and it says, long-standing with resentment, feelings of grief, guilt. When you watch House, you'll see he talks about guilt a lot. These emotional components are what help turn dis-ease into a disease. And if you have a medical industry telling you that it's a real disease and you believe it, and you believe you can walk for it to cure it, you're giving your money to somebody, but you're not giving it to the cure of that. Because all you got to do is study placebos to find out what the true cure is, and it's you. You're the one that gave yourself the disease, whether you believe it or not. And here's the thing. By understanding this story alone, you could see the results of it if it turns out negatively. Here's one where a guy, this is in Chicago, somewhere around there, a guy had cancer, and he told his wife, "I got 6 months to live." She says, "You do not. I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a guy who used to be a doctor who was a healer, who's on the other side of town, and you're going to go to him, and I'm not going to hear any more of this about you got 6 months to live." So he goes to the guy, and the guy says, "I have this new medicine. It's out of Europe. You got to sign this waiver, hold me harmless in this agreement, and I'll give you this shot. 99% of the time, it starts to take the tumors away within hours."
Within hours?
Within hours. When they've done placebo studies, they've found that a needle works better than a pill.
Why is that?
Because they're actually sticking it into your energy system, invading your space, and you're believing in the white coat, which was the symbols of the Great White Brotherhood, who were alchemists from Egypt way back when, the caduceus, which is also the symbol of alchemy, and you're believing that this person can heal you, make you whole again. That's what the word means. When Yeshua would heal people in Aramaic, he would say, "Ephatah," be made whole again. What that meant was, you are now being fully integrated again, and you are no longer being pulled apart in different directions due to emotional components. You are unified, whole, and your objective is to be made and kept whole and healthy. And in fact, in some of the Aramaic texts, it said he didn't just walk up to people and go, "Bing, bing." He would take the person outside of the village, the blind guy, and say, "Look, open your eyes." After he would have this long talk with him about why he was blind in the first place. This is called medical intuition. Okay? He could empath it. He knew what the emotional components were, and he sat there and he told him. And he would also say, "Do not go back to the village just yet. Give it a week. Settle in with this yourself first. Because you are so empathic with the nature of that tribe. You are so integrated as a part of that family that when you go back, they will feel uncomfortable with your new state of being, and you will fall back into blindness again because that's the only way they can handle you. Just take a blind person. They're doing stuff behind his back. You
Yeah.
can't do that no more. So that was sort of his advice. Deal with the emotional component first. Get settled with it. Go back and show them we're all miraculous.
And
we
that,
can do this.
Exactly. That's why he said, everything that I've done here, you can do as well.
No, what he said was, and one day you will do even greater things. This is that day. We, as consciousness, are going to change and create the future. We're not just going to heal ourselves or heal others. We're going to heal a whole experience. We're going to bring wholeness to it again. And I believe that when, like in the film The Matrix, when the sentient programs realize that Neo has become at one with the experience, the one, and he stops the bullets because he no longer fears, and he realizes he can manipulate this experience, what do? They take off.
They freak
Their
out.
job is done. Their job is done. And this will also help you get out of judgment, so that when you look at people and you see the incongruencies, you psychic children, when you see the incongruencies of these politicians speaking out of both sides of their mouth, you may even see them shapeshift into reptiles. You may see a lot of things, and you don't like them. Don't judge them. Because when you do, they own you. So here's the point. See it as maybe there's this whole divine aspect to all of this. Maybe this is necessary to bring us to this cosmological event that is going to occur, regardless of what drama is on this planet right now. But it just seems at the end of every age, according to the history and the evidence we can find thereof, okay, there's always the end of an Earth age, the beginning of a golden age, and the beginning of another new age. And it's always been matriarchal and patriarchally inclined. Another reason I don't feel that the future isn't going to be dictated as it's supposed to be, and it isn't going to be wonderful, is the high numbers that they have found of these children who are gifted and can remember their parents from other star systems and cry for them until a certain age. And this freaks their parents out. And they go to guys like Dr. Boylan. They get a lot of wisdom from Doreen Virtue about how these children, or the Berkeley Psychic Institute, these children, when they're in the womb, they're causing the mother to become psychic just so they can communicate with each other when the child is born. When the child is born, the child has no need to talk because they're very telepathic. In fact, they prefer that mode of communication because words don't quite say it all.
I don't
If
blame
a
them.
picture is worth 1,000 words, a psychic picture is worth 1,000,000 because the whole definition is in it. So they telepathically communicate. Some of them will even just come up and rub head to head to you and pull stuff out and put pictures in yours. And you'll see them in your mind's eye and you'll go, whoa, dolphins. What's that all about? Well, they're healing guides. That's what they are. And they're also divine creatures who are seated on this planet. NASA knows that too. And I'll tell you more about NASA understandings as this goes on. But just know that if you were at a calorie deficit every day, you would naturally start to lose weight. It would just naturally come off. But it takes time to switch the hypothalamus to this new way, this new belief system, because it doesn't believe you. Because we're incongruent. Well, number one, we're incongruent because we're not fully educated or enlightened.
Yeah.
So the body can't rely on your wisdom to keep it alive. It has to rely on its own. How do you know the body's smarter than the brain? Kinesiology. A guy named David Hawkins wrote several books about how he has discovered the greatest secrets of the universe all through muscle testing. Kinesiology, it's called. Like you can walk up to somebody and say, stick your arm out. Your name is Mickey Mouse. Resist me. And you push down on their arm, it falls to the side. They cannot hold it. But then I could walk up to that person and say their real name, stick your arm out again, and prove that's their name, that's their identity. Because the congruency keeps the muscle strong. The lie makes it weak. So another thing I've learned how to do is read people. I'm a pretty good poker player because of it. I read faces, I read micro expressions. Faces structures tell you a lot about a person, but how they react to something. Most people are in reaction mode all the time anyway. They know nothing about action or taking action in their life. They just react to what's occurring to them. And another weird level, they're the ones bringing this existence into their world anyway, whatever it be, a conflict or a flat tire or a mishap of some sort. Even the people who are like the preeminent manifesting couple, Esther Hicks and what's her name? I can't remember. They work with Abraham, I believe. Yeah, it's been a while. But I saw him back in 2000, and I read her aura, and she allegedly channels this group of beings who are here to tell us how to deliberately create and manifest. It's good stuff. It's all positive. But she even made mention in her life that she was fascinated with somebody who was fixing a windshield with a little piece of that stuff that you put in, that like super glue.
Oh, that.
And the next thing you know, a rock hits their windshield. Now, was she seeing it in advance and seeing the remedy, or was it because she was thinking about it and fascinated with it that they hit a rock into their windshield eventually?